Hey guys, welcome back. It's Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Hello. I actually had to start this video over again because I cut her off.
Yeah, you know how well that went for him.
It didn't go well for me, but oh my god, we're actually going to do another comic book video. We don't talk very much about comic books on the channel anymore because it's like the comic book industry's in pretty sad shape.
It's not. It's the bestest, biggest ever. They all say so.
Yeah. So okay, the New York Times. Is calling all of us liars. The New York Times says, as the comic book industry grows, smaller publishers learn to adapt. A merger of two independents, Lionforge and Oni Press, is the latest example of new strategies that are shaping the business. Things are great. Things are fine. Comics are fine. Don't ignore IDW crashing and burning. Ignore all the shops going out of business.
Things are great. Things are fine. So much so that the small publishers have to go together just so they don't go out of business.
Right. I just love how they're putting a ridiculously positive spin on this. The reason that Lionforge and Oni Press are combining forces like Voltron style, which is kind of ironic because I guess Lionforge does Voltron, I think. But the reason they're doing that is because as the market changes and frankly shrinks, right? We're going to talk about these numbers here. We're going to talk about this. It didn't actually rise. It's all hocus pocus magic, sleight of hand. As it shrinks, the publishers that are going to be affected the most are sort of the lower tier indie publishers.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to picture one of them as two different lions, and one has a hole under their tail, and the other one comes in behind it. Sorry.
Somebody's getting a foot up the ass.
Basically.
That's how this is going to work. But yeah, Lionforge and Oni Press, look, we'll talk more about actually what's going on here. They're talking, New York Times tries to paint this as a rosy picture, like sales in 2018 rose $80 million from the previous year, as we talked about in a previous video, as other YouTubers have talked about in videos with the ICV2 numbers.
ICU2.
This 2018 was the first year that they sort of rolled crowdfunding and digital and this nebulous other category.
Well, you don't count because you're a YouTuber, and they're the real news.
They're the real news. So they sort of padded the numbers with other sales channels, right? They've never done that before. So in reality, if you took that away, actually comic sales would be down because naturally they would be, right? Because comic shops are closing.
G3 says so.
G3 says
I'm calling him G3.
Oh, George Jean Gustines.
I'm calling him G3. G3 says so.
I just love this. They're like, as it grows, hoping to stand out in a crowded market, their smaller publishers are adopting new business strategies to better compete. Hell no, they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive. The publishers that will be affected the worst are going to be the Onis and the Lionforges and the Booms and the IDWs. And we see exactly where IDW is. IDW is in the shit right now. IDW is honestly hanging on by its fingertips, right?
That's not true.
It's not true.
That's not true because they say it's not true.
So let's read, let's read this version. Now, Oni, for those of you not familiar with Oni Press, their biggest claim to fame was, of course, Scott Pilgrim, which was a massive, massive hit in the late 2000s. I have all the color hardcovers, I think, too.
And the movie featured Brie Larson.
It did, grouchy Brie Larson. She actually was pretty good in that movie. I didn't realize it was her until like later. I'm like, oh my god, that's her. Yeah, that's, oh my god. So that's Envy Adams. Okay, so Scott Pilgrim was their biggest claim to fame. I think the Scott Pilgrim money has run out because Oni, look, they do put some good books out, but they haven't really had any that I'm aware of. They haven't had any major hits since Scott Pilgrim. So this is coming from CBR.com, comic book resources. Oni Press, Lionforge announced merger. Independent comic publishers Oni Press and Lionforge are planning to announce a merger of the two companies. Again, someone's putting the robotic foot up the other robot lion's ass to form a Voltron of independent comics, right? Both companies claim this will strengthen their library of intellectual properties. Here's where it gets fun.
This is what I was saying. Go ahead.
This is where the fun begins. It will strengthen their library of IP, which includes comics and graphic novels. The merged entity can then use its combined strength to spread into other media platforms like a virus, most specifically film and animation.
Because comics aren't doing it. So we're going to spin it that comics are great, comics are fine, but we're not even going to really do comics. We're going to try to do film and animation. And I'm sure they're going to pick stupid things.
Most people working in comics are trying to get out of comics. This is 100% the truth. We worked in and around the graphic novel niche, right? So all the New York publishing scene, all that. And most of these people pitching graphic novels, they're pitching the graphic novel because they want the movie deal. They're pitching the graphic novel because they want to get into animation. They're not staying in comics.
Well,
they don't want to stay in comics. There's no money.
Webtoons was picking up all these quote unquote comics pros because they're going to have these potential pitches for movies. Why do you think they're all suddenly going to Webtoons for no reason?
Right, and then they started bringing in like Marvel artists, you know, who used to bash webcomics. They were bringing them in
because they want the movie deal.
Right, right. So the current publisher of Oni Press, James Lucas Jones, will become president of this new company as well as publisher. The deal was further negotiated by Polarity, a company founded by Lion Forge founder David Stewart, to help develop projects for Lion Forge's properties and characters outside comics. Again, most specifically, film and animation.
Yeah, because isn't that what IDW did? And it worked so well for them.
It worked great for IDW. That is a very good point. You know, IDW is Icarus. They got too close to the sun. They chased Hollywood dollars, and they got burnt bad. That's if IDW had stuck to publishing solid comic books and let the movies and TV and the games sort of develop organically out of that and actually developed more in-house IP, they would not be the shit show that they are right now.
They're already screwed. You know why they're already screwed?
Why are they already screwed?
Two men who are running it.
Oh, no.
And all these places, like especially Netflix and stuff, they're like, oh, we need more women. We need more women.
Well, I know.
We need more women. So these guys, they're screwed to begin with.
Well, I do know that Lion Forge in particular has a pretty diverse staff, but
it's run by a man.
But it's run by men.
Okay, how dare they? How dare they? If they truly believed in this kind of stuff, they would make sure it was run by Brie Larson. Anyway,
oh my
ahead.
God, yeah, that's right. She off the comic page and into comics. That'll be the next thing. She'll start her own comic book company because she's already a director.
You finished it. You said she'll start her own comic book company. I think you finished that.
That's Tumblr. Two companies have a bigger, stronger, singular strategy. Polarity will continue to assist the newly merged company. And on Monday, Polarity announced it would create an animation studio.
It's going to make their own animation studio
to produce television and film content. This is how things get derailed. When these comic book publishers, these smaller comic book publishers, right, start chasing Hollywood dollars, a lot of times they get derailed and they get burnt. Bad. They do. Again, I really do think you're right. I think IDW's biggest problem was it chased Hollywood and it did not have the bucks to really compete in that space.
And they keep picking the wrong things. I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day, a lot of the problems a lot of these places have is they keep picking the wrong things. And they're going to continue to do it, you know dang well, because if they don't pick the right things, quote unquote, by some people, then they'll get harassed and told that they're, every ist and imaginable.
Right. So Oni Press has had success in the past with intellectual properties. Most memorable is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which actually bombed at the box office, but the comic sold very, very well. It was based on a series of graphic novels. The merger is not simply going to benefit both companies' multimedia aspirations, it should also help them expand their reach in the comic marketplace. I'm going to talk about their numbers. While comic book properties are clearly a hot commodity, many publishers outside of Marvel and DC have difficulty finding success or spreading out into the bigger marketplace. The big two monopolize, blah, blah. No, I think there's room for quality indie comics, absolutely. Furthermore, it's becoming harder and harder for comic publishers to sell their products because all the shops are closing.
Yep.
Is it really that hard to understand? They can't sell the damn comic books if there's no place to sell the damn comic books.
No, but they say...
What? I mean, come on.
But then they say that the number of new comic books available each month has grown in general across all publishers.
Yeah, because Marvel's like spamming. They're spamming comic shops with like constant reboots and variant covers and all this other garbage. Film and animation adaptations of intellectual properties can also function as large advertisements for independent comic books. Scott Pilgrim underperformed at the box office. That's putting it mildly. It bombed. It made audiences interested in the original series of graphic novels, and it sold 100,000 copies of the first printing of the final volume, which I do agree with. Actually, I liked Scott Pilgrim quite a bit, but it did not do well at the box office. So if they're banking on that, I think they might want to rethink.
It's new media enterprises as well as furthering into comic marketplace.
Okay, so this is what's going. So I want to go out here and just kind of show you. I'm going to be honest here. Like, I'm not knocking Lionforge. I really am not that familiar with everything they publish, but I know their numbers are not good, right? We're looking, here we are, unless they're selling in other channels I'm not aware of. I don't see like a mad rush for, Lionforge books at book fairs or whatever, but here we are in Comic-Con. Their highest selling book was a graphic novel at 700 and some copies. Here, 400 copies, 197 copies,
that's bad.
182 copies. We're down to, they're all graphic.
That's pretty bad. The Dragon Ball one didn't have that many sold either.
No, well, they might have been reprints, yeah.
Ticked too, so.
But, I don't know if they have any floppies this month. March, I think their highest selling book here, this is a floppy, was 875 copies. This one, Catalyst Prime, was number 16, was 441 copies. And this one, 428 copies.
Yeah, but on good news, it's unrelated. Can I see this for a minute?
Yeah.
Good news and unrelated things, but it's hold on, where was the other one here? Oh, where is it? This one did $935, and he's our friend. So
oh yeah,
$935. I mean books, and he's our friend. Anyway,
yeah. So there we go. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay,
so check out that because that's our friend.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it?
Brian.
That's Brian Milden?
That's Brian's book.
Let me see.
It's
Yes, it
Brian's
is.
book.
It is Brian's book. Oh, I like that. Okay, I didn't know what the name of it was.
Brian's a good guy.
Oh my god, I'm totally out of it. Yeah, Brian Milton's actually a friend of ours, and that's his book. And I didn't know what it was called. I knew he was working with Scout.
I knew what it was called.
You were talking to him.
I always talk to him. He's good.
Just
So go buy his book because he's my friend.
He sold twice as many copies as Lionforge.
And he's a really, really, really cool guy.
Brian Milden,
he's like one of the nicest people you ever meet.
Brian Milden is a very, 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 very solid Western Pennsylvania-based comic book creator. And
go buy his book.
We've known. I didn't know that was the name of his book.
I did. Where have you been?
On the internet.
I'm on the internet too.
Up other stuff, I guess.
Go buy Brian's book.
Go buy Brian's book, Wolfborn. Go buy Wolfborn. He's a solid guy. We've known Brian for a number of years, and we always did the PA convention circuit.
We always see Brian. He's always like, hey.
That's good for him. I'm actually really, he outsold Action Lab on a number 2, because usually there's a steep drop on number 2, but he actually did really good with Scout. Okay, so yeah, go buy Brian's book.
We got derailed, but I saw it, and I was like, I gotta give Brian a shout out.
Damn it, now he's gonna watch this video, and he's gonna be like, you didn't know that was the name of my book?
I did. I knew Brian.
Geeky knew.
I know, because I pay attention, Brian.
Okay. I'll
come see you. I'll come see you at the next show we're at, Brian.
Yeah, we'll go see Brian. That's awesome. I'm very happy for Brian. So Brian is actually outselling most of the Lionforge books 2-1. So this is not, the only bad news. All this going on with comics. Comics are booming. Yeah, Baker and Taylor, which is, they sell mostly to libraries. They shut down their retail distribution business. So now they're not going to sell to comic shops anymore because it's not worth it. They're just selling to libraries. I mean, so this is going on. And funny story, if you're trying to get your...
I was going to say it, but go ahead.
If you're trying to get your comic book or graphic novel into libraries, you pretty much have to go through Baker and Taylor.
We found that out inadvertently by
the hard way
at ALA.
Yeah, we did the American Library Association show 5 or 6 years ago. I took a whole bunch of graphic novels thinking, stupidly, that librarians would just buy them at the show. And and they wouldn't do that. I'm like, okay, well, you guys can go order it on Amazon or off our website. No, if you're not in Baker and Taylor, you don't exist. I keep thinking the Jedi was it Jocasta Nu from Attack of the Clones. If it's not in our database, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it was like for these librarians. If it's not in Baker and Taylor, it doesn't exist. But they're not even going to waste their time with comic shops
and bookstores.
Just libraries now. That's all they care about.
Yeah, that's not.
So
good.
I'm sorry, New York Times. I call shenanigans. I think you're taking these juggled numbers.
Sorry, if you hear snoring, that's the dog.
That's not me. That's the dog. These companies would not be combining if they were doing well on their own. And God, I still don't know how Lionforge stays in business. I think the dude that runs it's got a lot of money, and I think he's just bankrolling it with venture capital or something. I have no idea because their books do not appear to sell all that well. But they're in it. They're in it for the IP. They're in it for movies.
Well, yeah, but that's because that works so well for everybody else.
Does anybody actually make comic books just to make comic books anymore? I really don't think anybody's making comic books to make comic books anymore. I think everybody's making comics chasing movies and games and IP deals and thinking that that's their get-rich-quick scheme.
Well, we were trying to get those.
Okay,
things,
well,
too.
don't tell people that. But no, I'm just saying.
We almost had a gaming deal too. That
Yeah,
was cool.
it's a long story. Anyway, but
We almost got Settlers of Catan to back us too. That was interesting.
that would have been a really interesting game. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Yeah, I think Voltron style, we're going to see a lot of these smaller publishers combine. I would not be surprised if we saw like Dark Horse and Boom or Boom and IDW, or, well, IDW is just dead in the water. But I think some of these smaller publishers are going to combine just to be able to survive.
Is there a publisher that's Ka the name? Because they could combine Boom and be Kaboom.
Kaboom. I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm like IDW.
They could merge.
Boom,
They could merge with me, and we could be Kaboom.
Kaboom. They do have Kaboom. That's their kids line.
I know.
It's okay. They're
Bet you
not
I do
selling.
better.
They're not selling very good either.
They should come talk to us. We got lots of kids book ideas.
Well, if you get Dynamite and Boom together,
It'd just be Boom.
it'd just be Boom. Ba-boom. Okay, so that's, I don't have anything else to say. Like, they're not combining, because the comic, there's all kinds of opportunity in the comic book market right now. They're combining to survive. That's what they're doing. So,
Pretty
got
much.
anything else to add?
I don't really do have much.
That's brilliant. I can't top
I'm very tired.
that.
I don't have anything else to add. But
Okay.
my mouth wouldn't work. My brain was working, but my mouth couldn't keep up.
That's right, because you are processing so quickly.
My brain
that your
works
mouth,
faster than my mouth, which is hard to believe because my mouth works very quickly.
It does.
So,
Trust me, I've been on the receiving end of that. So, anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up.
yeah.
Please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, rants, gaming videos, art videos, occasional comic book videos, and more. This has been Neon and Geeky.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.